Okay. Welcome to the Fruit Heights City Council meeting. My name is John Pullman, the mayor of the city of Fruit Heights. We have a remote city council member, so we are holding this meeting with an anchor location at the Fruit Heights City office at 910 South Mountain Road. This meeting is being recorded and is being live streamed. We are going to start off with a Pledge of Allegiance. It's going to be performed by Flo Sadler and a prayer by Eileen Moss. Go to that point.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we are grateful for this opportunity that we have to meet together as friends and neighbors and citizens of this great community of Fruit Heights. We are mindful of the many blessings that we receive, the peaceful place and the peaceful land that we live in, and ask that Thy might help us to continue to remember to be kind to those around us, to remember to help those around us, that we may truly be the city of good neighbors. We ask Thee tonight, as we are working on the budget, that we might be able to have clear minds, that we might be able to do those things which will be in the best interest of our community this year and in future years. Sometimes we have difficult decisions, and we would ask that Thou will help us to have the knowledge to be able to do those things which are in the best interest of all, as much as possible. We are, again, grateful for all that we have, this beautiful land that we live in. We say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Eileen. I remember the other reason why I called you today. Brandon, roll call.
Sorry, you got to get everything turned on. Councilmember Diane Anderson is excused. She is traveling. Councilmember Gary Anderson is joining us remotely. I don't know if he can hear us or not. Councilmember Florence Sadler.
Here.
Councilmember George Ray.
Here.
Councilmember Eileen Moss.
Here.
Mayor John Pullman.
Here. City council training.
Okay,
Flo Sadler, you got 3 minutes. You're on the clock.
thank you. A few weeks ago, the mayor did some training on the Constitution and gave us each a nice little copy and reminded us to be aware of what's in it. And since we have promised to sustain that document, and there's also obviously a Utah Constitution that has a Bill of Rights, and looking in this Utah League of Cities and Towns handbook of ours, there's a section called Selected Constitutional Issues, which mentions a few things that cities can run up against. And one of them is, in the First Amendment, freedom of speech. And we can, as a city, control how much time people take in our meeting and their decorum, but we cannot control what they say. Same with signs. We can, like campaign signs and things, we can control where they are and when. We can't control what's on them or what they say. Same with door-to-door solicitors. There are regulations on public demonstrations. Some of these things we have a say in. Private property is sometimes an issue with cities, and all of these things, in all of these things, we need to make sure that we don't have the government overreach that the Bill of Rights was even written for. And we need to make sure that we balance the needs of the city with the rights of the citizens. Thank you.
Wow. Awesome. I love it. Flo, thank you so much. Item number 2 is conflict of interest. Do we have any conflict of interest to discuss this time? Not seeing or hearing any. Going to go over to item number 3, which is public comment period. We set this time aside for residents to to speak anything that they would like? Do we have anything tonight? Not seeing or hearing anything. We're going to move over to item number 4, public hearing. Are we holding a public hearing tonight?
No, the public hearing is tonight.
Okay, great. So we're going to move over to item number 6, which is 6.1, review, discuss the fiscal year 2021, 2022. That's not correct. Oh, budget amendments. Sorry about that.
So our budget, current year budget is looking good. I don't have any budget amendments to present right now. However, there will be because of some projects and some money that we got this last year for ARPA and CARES. But I'm in the process of recording and submitting all that information over to the state. So this, I thought I'd be ready for it tonight. I'm not ready for it. So this will be tabled until our next meeting next week, when I will have all of that information compiled and pulled together.
So that has to be finalized before we adopt the new budget. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have to do all of our budget amendments before we can adopt our next budget.
Great. Okay. So that will be on the agenda for next week.
That will be, yes.
And can you get us the information on that so that we can review it before?
I will, yes. I'll have it all broken out so that you will know exactly what budget items are being amended.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 6.2, review, discuss fiscal year 2022, 2023 budget. Gary, I can see that you're on. Can you hear us? Can you give us a thumbs up, or can we hear you?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Excellent. Fantastic.
Well, we couldn't hear him, though.
But we can't hear him.
Are you on mute, Gary?
No, I'm not on mute. I
We can't hear you.
Okay. Brandon, do you want to go ahead with item number 6.2?
Yeah, maybe we could just say, Gary, if you've got a comment or something,
Sign it.
text us.
Yeah,
Text it.
you can text my phone. Haley has it.
So I've spent the last little while putting together our proposed budget, and I've put it together in a couple of different ways. The one that we are looking at right now is a budget that would include a truth and taxation hearing. I spoke with Councilmember Moss earlier and had this discussion, and we felt that if we did a truth and taxation, it would be an amount that wouldn't be
We would no longer
Sorry.
keep our same tax mill
taxable
rate.
rate. Yes,
Because it actually, due to inflation, it actually is quite a large tax increase. But at the same time, with the rate of inflation, yes, we've had some grants to help with some of our city projects, but we have a lot of inflation to deal with our staff needs raises in order to be able to retain them. We just have a lot of different needs and it's really hard to raise taxes because nobody wants to do it. I mean, it's taxing ourselves, honestly, and none of us are very thrilled about that. But we have to look at the best interest of this community in coming years. And if inflation stays as high as it is this year, and we do not look at a tax increase this year, we could easily be looking at a 50% tax increase next year in order to make up for all of our expenses.
So our proposal would be to increase, if we hold the truth and taxation, that would increase our revenue by just over $200,000. That $200,000 would then be funneled into some projects that we hope to do, and one of those projects is a cemetery, getting some work done there. But we've also got roads that we've got to maintain, infrastructure that we've got to maintain and stay on top of. So that is where the brunt of that tax increase would be into our capital projects fund to fund our capital projects.
And
So
again, Again, I would say on the cemetery, this is something that when you're out campaigning, it is something that you hear very frequently. And it's something I get phone calls about. It's something Brandon gets phone calls about. We, for 10 years, worked at getting land so that we would have a place to put a cemetery. We were successful in doing that. We got the federal government to sell us some property for the fair price of $1. And it's a multi-use property. It's where, part of that property is where our bike trail is, but it's really time to serve the citizens of this community. It's getting harder and harder to get into Kaysville. It's getting full, and they don't really want us there anyway.
And so I'm hearing too an inflation problem to
Both.
increase the taxes, and I'm also hearing the cemetery. And in these requests, are we going to earmark that money so specific? Because I do hear the cemetery thing a lot as well, and I'm a huge proponent of getting that moving forward.
That is
But
the plan.
I don't want to raise the taxes using the logic of the cemetery, but not using it for the cemetery. You know what I mean?
We actually have a fund now. We set it up last year for the cemetery. And Brandon has suggested to fully fund the cemetery as he wanted to do. We would have had to do quite a bigger tax increase than what we agreed upon today. But I think we have to be able to compromise. I've been up in Park City recently, and they have a really beautiful cemetery up there that is not turfed. It's their old miners' cemetery, and I would hope that, we could maybe take a page from a small city like that has got a cemetery with all of the water issues that are going on, that we could be able to push that cemetery forward at a minimal expense. We don't need a whole lot developed to be able to start, but we need some money to be able to start.
Yes. So we do have money earmarked for cemetery. It's under the capital projects. Currently, we're budgeting with the 200,000 that we would be bringing in. We have we'd have $485,000 that we could use for cemetery improvements. And that would be, I should have put pages on there. I'm sorry, I did not. But it would be, if you go to capital projects, you'll see it at the top of one of your pages, and then go down to the very next page. At the top, it says cemetery phase 1. And I don't know exactly what phase 1 is yet. I've just simply put phase 1 because that will be our starting point.
So let me throw out a couple ideas.
Keep going. Right there.
Next.
Right there.
Yeah, right there. So all of our projects that we have in 2022, 2023 are funded, correct?
Everything that we're showing in our budget, there's money to cover those expenditures.
But it's not all coming from grants.
Right. And one more thought, I don't like raising taxes like any of us. We did a truth and taxation hearing last year for paramedic services, to pull the paramedic services over, the levied amount that was going to the county. We brought that into the city to offset the increased expenses for fire and paramedic services to the city. The year before that, we did a truth and taxation hearing. I would throw out an idea of not doing a truth and taxation hearing this year and planning on doing it next year. There is grant possibilities out there for us to get quite a bit of money for projects that would be going on at the same time and in the same location as the cemetery. I think we've got a pretty good shot of getting some of those. I'm stating this just kind of as an option, not as something that we have to do. I also think it would be wise if we do have one to not do it as a full $400,000 or 300,000.
200. If we do a truth and taxation, it'd be 200 that we generate in revenue.
Okay.
So, Mayor, I understand your position as well. And my thought would be is if inflation slows down and we are able to get more of these grants, then maybe we could redirect this cemetery money into capital projects and we don't do one next year. But as we stand right now, we either, you know, how many more years are we going to go without? And then we have a lot of other expenses this year.
Sure.
Just thinking that if we did it this year, it's a little bit proactive, so that we're not chasing our tail all this year saying, oh my gosh, look what inflation is doing. We didn't build anything into the budget to keep up with that as far as our funding for future projects. But again, that's something none of us like to see.
A few months ago, we talked about the utility fee. Did we give up on that idea, or that be in addition to this as well?
So
water
which
utility?
utility are you talking about? Water?
No, the
Oh.
electricity on the bills.
Oh.
They're charging
the
use
franchise
tax,
on
utility use tax.
utilities.
Yeah.
We have not given up on that. No, that's still an option. The revenue that would generate from that would be a third of what we would get through this, which we would be able to reduce the tax increase by that. You can only adopt that at the first of the year or the end of the year, so we wouldn't be able to adopt it until November.
So
If
one
that's
of
what
the
we wanna
things
do.
that if we do a truth and taxation hearing, and as other things are forming up in the next couple of months, one of the things that, well, it's not even that long, but a month or so, if we do a truth and taxation hearing, we don't have to take the whole amount that we've asked for. We have the ability to go backwards and say, hey, we had some other things coming up and some other funding come in that we didn't know we could have. And we can, at that point, decrease it. There's nothing that makes it so we can't decrease it.
Can you tell me the last time that the city decreased our tax rate?
Here's the question.
Yes, go for it.
No, decrease, not the tax rate, but decrease the increase that we're asking for. Decrease the increase.
Oh, gotcha. Not increase it as much, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
We had truth and taxation last year, right?
Yeah.
And did it help? How much was it? How much
It helped because the money that was going to the county for paramedic services came to the city. So what they did is the county decreased their tax rate and we increased our tax rate so that we collected what they were collecting. So it helped, yes, because now the money's coming to the city and not going to the county.
But did it help
It did nothing
general
for
fund?
our bottom
Bottom
line. It was just just taking money from the county to give to the fire service.
Still from the poor, still from the rich to give to the poor.
I'm poor.
And the tax increase that we did the year prior to that was to help fund capital projects. Road projects is mainly where we're struggling. Road and storm drain. Those, we just don't generate enough revenue to do those big projects.
One other benefit to doing it and stating that we'll do a truth and taxation hearing, one benefit is that it will kick the can for us to finalize the budget until August.
Yeah.
So we can claim that we're going to do a truth and taxation hearing, and then in August we can say we're not going to increase the rate.
Or we can increase it a smaller amount than what we are
Right.
suggesting.
I will tell you that there are several cities in Davis County, not that this makes a difference, but I just want you to be aware, there are several cities in Davis County that are holding a truth and taxation hearing this year for the very reason that costs are going up and cities are having a hard time covering those costs because pipe, all of our capital projects. I was just talking to Darren just a minute ago, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but we can't buy fire hydrants.
Can't buy what?
Can't get fire hydrants
Fire hydrant.
for a project. So, we're having to look at different options for fire hydrants that we never had to do before. But those are the challenges that we're having. Is it's hard to get concrete, it's hard to get asphalt, it's hard to get a lot of this stuff because those costs are going up. So just need to be mindful of that. And I'm not saying that, I'm just simply saying costs are going up for everybody and things are getting hard. I don't know why. I hope it gets back to normal someday.
Thoughts?
So-
Discussion points?
I would like to know your thoughts on a tax, truth and taxation, because I need to let the county know if this is something we want to do or if it's something we don't want to do.
Philosophically, why wouldn't we have a truth in taxation every year?
Why don't we?
Yeah, why wouldn't we? Because we would never expect prices to go down for our regular year-to-year stuff. So wouldn't we always every year expect to raise our taxes some small percentage?
There's a handful of cities in Davis County that do truth and taxation hearings every year to keep their rate at the same
Right, so
level.
it just becomes something we do every year just because
So
it becomes a part of the budget process.
philosophically, when you're growing quickly, you have a lot more homes and you have a lot more revenue coming in. And so you don't need to increase everyone's rate as often.
Mhm.
Where we have kind of stagnation and we have no more significant growth, we need to increase our rates in order to stay even. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would advocate for making it a budget thing every year to do a truth and taxation as
Right.
part of the budgets.
And at one time we had said we'd do it every
Other year.
every other year.
But our one last year didn't really gain us a
No,
lot.
it was a net zero.
What do you think, Flo?
I think we should do it. From what I understand, and it helps the public to know what's going on. And I think that's always valuable.
Yeah.
So to involve them and as much as they will, I think it's a good idea.
These things always get the public involved.
Every time,
So
even when it's a $40 a year increase.
And what are we looking at for the price of a 300, whatever it is, well, $500,000 home?
So the math that I did was the 200,000 divided by 2,500 homes, roughly. That's really just averaging it out. It would be about $80.
And last year was 15. Am I remembering that right?
okay, let me hold it up to the mic. Hold on.
The 200,000 divided by 2,500 homes would be about $80 a home
Per household.
per household.
So Gary would like to make a comment, and you're going to talk loud, right?
You got to yell, buddy.
Just please tell me if can you guys hear me well? Can you
Yes.
hear me well now? Okay. I think we do need to keep up with the tax rate, by having a truth in taxation. However, I do want to point out that I know very few people that are getting the same salary increase as our inflation. So I think we've got to compromise both ways. I think we got to bring it up a little bit, but I'm not sure we can afford to stay with inflation or not. I don't know. That's just my thought. So.
It's a good thought. So to echo what you just said that yes, we should do a truth in taxation, but we have to compromise because not everyone is getting same increases in rates, in salary rates as inflation is. I like that thought. Thanks, Gary. So tonight we have to make a decision on if we will hold a truth and taxation hearing or not. Actually, that needs to be finalized by next week, correct, Brandon?
It's not on the agenda as,
We will need to make that, so if we're going to proceed down this road, I need to let the county know, and then it will be on the agenda to schedule the truth and taxation dates.
Okay. That's right.
So I'm just simply asking, which direction do you want me to go? Because I'm ready to go either way. But if we do a truth and taxation, I've got to let the county know so that we can get in the notice, the paper that has to notice, and then also put the county on notice that we will be doing that.
Okay. So I think most everyone up here would be yes, but I don't think the rate has been decided.
The rate that we are proposing, so the rate that we have tried to hold to is 0.001950. It has dropped down to 0.001455. We are proposing that rate be increased to 0.001750. That rate would produce just over $200,000 in revenue for the city.
So we're going from 145 to 175?
175, but down from 195.
Right. The decrease was the inflation increase from 195 to 175.
so the county gave us 1455, and that actually.
Sorry, you're right. 145, not 175.
So what we're looking at is, but what we were at was 1950. And so what the proposal is 1750. 0.001750.
So the last
which is
two
higher
years in a
than-
row, we've been at the 1950, and we're proposing, because of inflation, proposing only to 1750. 0.001750.
Okay. Okay.
Just so I'm clear, I didn't get a chance to look at the budget documents that were sent today, or those were yesterday, but all of this rate should be broken out in between those two budgets, right? So if I go in there, I can identify where we're going to spend that 200,000.
Yes, you'll see it. So in the document that says with truth and taxation, with TNT, you'll see that at the very top. Haley, would you go to the very first page?
I think he's asking though where we're going to spend it. He wants to see the difference.
Right. I
in
just want to
spending.
go through the two. I see the two documents with or without, and I'll be
Yeah.
able to see those differences. in
So
there,
I
right?
just want to make sure you'll see that first in the property tax. So you'll see that different amount. And then you'll go down to capital projects and you'll see how it's spent differently in capital projects. It's not going to affect anything else in the budget, only the capital projects.
And where within capital projects?
Capital projects was the one that we were just on that showed the cemetery.
Right. Where within the capital projects is that 200,000?
Mainly in the cemetery. There may be it may affect the roads a little bit as far as road improvements, road projects that we are able to do. I'll have to go back and double check. It's been
As
a
we're
minute.
looking at the cemetery though, and we put that fund in there, if we need to pull from it to use for roads, we could do that, right?
Yes.
To use for a road for the cemetery, we could push it over to road to use for the cemetery.
Yes. The capital, yes, capital projects is a place where we keep money for large projects. So if we decide not to do a road project, we could move some money over to the cemetery, or we could do a road project for the cemetery.
Okay. So tonight we are not deciding on that. We're discussing.
I'm just asking your direction for whether or not we want to hold the truth and taxation. So then if that's the way we go, then next budget you will see the budget option that's in front of you for holding a truth and taxation, and those amounts won't change. It should be exactly what you're seeing there.
So going off of Gary Anderson's remarks, what if we compromise slightly and instead of going all the way to 175, we go to 165, up from 145?
Do you want me to tell you what that change would be dollar-wise right now? Or
Do you have it?
I can get it. If you'll give me just a second, I'll tell you exactly what it is.
And always the rate has nothing to do with it has something to do with it. The rate is secondary to the actual dollar amount we want, right? That's even
dollar amount
if
we're looking at.
if the housing market changes, they're going to adjust the rate so we get the same amount of money each
Right.
year from the
Right.
citizens. So it's all about the money. The rate is secondary.
Right.
So it's all about where's the 200,000 going to go. At least I think.
Okay. So what was that amount, Mayor?
00165.
That'd be roughly 80,000 difference.
So it'd be 120,000 increase instead of 200,000. Is that right?
We'd
That
have,
seems really high.
It'd be, so let me just,
I don't think so. I think that's really, try again. Make sure it's right.
Jeez, we could be a little bit nicer, Eileen.
What's that?
We could be a
I
little
don't
bit
think
nicer.
Oh, sorry. Brent and I have been talking all day, so.
okay, at 1750, it's 1.267. So 1.2 million would be the revenue that would be generated from that.
And 167 would be what?
165.
165.
At 1650, it would be 1.195. So
What's
almost
the difference? Is it 80,000? Shouldn't be that high.
$62,000.
Yeah, that'd be better.
62.
62,000.
Or a difference of how much per household?
I don't know that.
Mayor does.
I can figure that out.
But the tax rate is based on the average value of a home. It's not based on, so I don't know how you would
It's
figure
about
out
the
what
same
the
though
average.
per household. It makes it about the average, so. Based on the number of households we have,
$55, down from
80.
80. Okay. Thoughts? Flo?
It would be kinder to the taxpayers. Would it give us what we need? I don't know.
138,000 compared to 200,000.
I think what we need to decide right now is, are we going to hold a TNT?
Yeah.
And if so, then we've got some time to figure out what that rate's going to be. But I just need to, so I can give you several scenarios, what different rates would generate as far as revenue, and then you can let me know what you want. So I'll plug that into the budget.
So it's not on the agenda. We're not formalizing a decision right now. I would
Yes.
tell you from the straw poll that we have right now to move forward with a truth and taxation hearing.
Okay.
And then we can decide at a different day and time the amounts and have
Yes.
that on the agenda.
So
next
the
week
next
even.
agenda, there will be an official vote to hold a truth and taxation.
Correct.
And from that point, we will determine what that rate's going to be.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
That satisfies 1.6.1, 6.2. Let's move over to 6.3, which is review, discuss, approve, deny the 2022 capital projects award recommendation of Wardell Brothers from Jones and Associates. Don't recognize you without a beard. Talking. There we go. That sounds like it's on. Yeah. I drafted that award recommendation memo May 24th. We did a bid opening. I put together the bid docs for the 2022 capital projects. Had 4 bidders, and of those bidders, based on the pricing, I would recommend Wardell Brothers Construction. They're out of Morgan. We've done projects with them before. They're capable. They have the manpower. They have some of the material, like Brandon was mentioning. In most of the city projects I'm doing, it's been difficult to find some materials, but that usually just affects the schedule. It's just that long lead time, and looking at alternate products. But Wardell seems to have a lot of that already. But like I said, based on their pricing, my recommendation is Wardell Brothers Construction for their bid of $1,084,309. That was actually about $300,000 less than my estimate, which was good. So,
Guess that's why we didn't hire you, right?
right. Well, yeah.
So-
At least that's what I would charge if I was digging.
You're Zach, right?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
Zach Burke
Okay.
with Jones. Yes.
And how far, so I think this is Quail Ridge, but I think it would be helpful to the council to, because it's a very expensive project, to delineate just a little bit for the council, exactly what's going to happen. Well, maybe not exactly, but give us a little bit,
Sure.
bit on how much, what it's going to cover.
Yeah, sorry, I got to open up the bid tabulation that I broke down kind of every section. But yeah, it would include Quail Ridge Drive and 650 North.
That's the road that goes up to the dog pound, if you're familiar with that. And Quail Ridge is the cul-de-sac that comes off of there. So
Correct. Yeah. And we had done in previous years, we've done the storm drain system up there that tied into the UDOT portion there on Mountain Road. So this project would include that. Quail Ridge cul-de-sac, that would include a update to the water line, new storm drain system. We're actually
here. It's a stupid batteries.
all right. And working with Weber Basin, Weber Basin on their secondary system, because again, when we did our storm drain system down 650, Weber Basin came in and laid their new secondary system to tie into that UDOT project and the updates there. We're going to add that secondary system up Quail Ridge to give those residents the option for secondary. And then new curb and gutter. We're actually adjusting the grades on the road surface itself on Quail Ridge. And we're also working with Davis County, actually. And they're going to be contributing. So sorry, I'm just double checking my numbers because that total doesn't necessarily include what the city will be paying.
So it looks like about 300,000 that.
Yeah, that the county is going to contribute as their portion, because that's technically their road, that goes, that our city boundary cuts off, it's theirs, and most of their traffic is from their trucks and all the access from their sheds and the county buildings, the animal control building, all that. So they'll be contributing there. So we're working with Weber Basin, Davis County. They've got portions that I've tried to break down to show there. And then.
And they have no problem paying their portion.
Yeah, we're just finalizing the paperwork on the agreements. It's a lot more helpful that we did the bid and have raw numbers, because like I was saying, my estimate is just was higher, and it was hard. It's a lot better to have these actual numbers, because with all that's going on trying to estimate projects when you can't get hydrants and concrete and things like that, it's now better that we have the actual number. So yeah, that, and let's see, Nichols Road and Country Lane are part of this project as well. And the specific portion of Nichols Road would be on the west side of the 89 portion. And we'd just be adding curb and asphalt to the lip of curb on the south side, where UDOT finished their addition on the frontage road down to the golf course curb on that south side. So that's the Nichols portion. So that's not a large portion.
So is that past the pond?
It's the north end of the pond. It's Nichols Road. So it goes down past Larkins and ties into the
Okay.
golf course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. On Nichols. So there's Nichols, and then we did include as part of this bid the Country Lane sidewalk and curb.
Didn't we receive a grant for that?
We've got money for that.
Yeah.
Well, we've been awarded a grant. We haven't received it yet.
We have been awarded. How much was that a grant for?
We had enough to cover.
Was it 100 and
Yeah, it was like 150 or 160,000.
150 or 60,000?
In those funds. But there's a few federal requirements tied to it that we're still evaluating. But yeah, that's the award we received but haven't been awarded.
Is there a chance that we wouldn't follow through on that?
If the hoops that we have to jump through to get the money are too many, then yes, we wouldn't follow through on that.
Yeah, because at some point it honestly doesn't make it worth it, the amount, because you have to do a category exclusion, like in a whole environmental study, that they just gobble up the money they have just in doing their paperwork and requirements and all the stuff that we would have to do just to get that money. It becomes a wash, or it can be. So we're trying to convince because the federal money has to be handled by like UDOT project managers, and we're trying to convince that project manager not to require us to do a Cat X is what it's called. No, I'm not kidding, like an environmental study on Country Lane. It's ridiculous stuff, but it's stuff that is tied to that type of grant. And so if it gets to that point, we might have to cut just that Country Lane portion.
Okay.
But
Excellent,
so that's the scope. If that helps on the question of just breaking down what was involved with this project. So it was Country Lane sidewalk, Nichols Road curb, Quail Ridge, kind of a total road reconstruct with utility underlay, and a shared portion with the county on 650 all the way up to the shooting range gate would be the limit. And Kaysville City opted not to participate in their little parking lot park, so they're not involved.
Jeff Euler, aren't they doing that whole parking lot trailhead expansion through you guys? Is that going on this year, the 2022-2023 budget?
Yeah, it's in the budget. Whether or not it'll get done this year, I don't know, but it's budgeted for us.
Okay.
We could have saved you some money, but sorry.
So is that a Kaysville decision not to save money, or is that a county decision not to save money and be part of that project? Yeah, it must have been. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
So question, the county, so we pick the contractor and then the county just smiles and goes with it, even though it's going to be a higher priced contractor?
I don't know what you mean. Even though it's a higher price, how would it be a higher? If they could find one cheaper, you mean?
Because it's not the low bid. Is
Right,
what
it's
you
not
got.
low
Oh, 'cause it's
bid.
not the low bid. Yeah, because like us, it's not, because it's not so much about the price as it is completion time and traffic control and
work, the crew, the size of the crew.
the size of the crew, just the overall schedule, the quality, all that factored into it. And the county, we've kind of talked it through with what is it, Adam? Yeah, Adam. And yeah, he's okay with that. Yeah, especially with the pricing that Wardell did give on that portion. But yeah, they're
Yeah, I noticed that Wardell was the cheapest for Davis County, but not the cheapest for Fruit Heights.
Fruit Heights. Yeah.
So how did that happen?
So
And I haven't gone line by line, so I apologize. If it's
Sure,
in here,
no-
it
no
shows
problem.
us
Yeah,
line by
no.
line why that's the case now.
I'm glad you asked, because AAA was the low bid.
Sure.
Or I think he says it's AAA every time I say AAA. Anyways, he's bid a lot of our projects, and by ours I mean Jones and Associates, and a lot of our different cities. I can tell you that every bid opening he's been to, he is the low bid. Money ahead, not contracting with him on this type of project.
Sure.
For all the traffic and the trail and the shooting range and all that going on to 650, that and just getting pavement down, hopefully before the snow and the headache and issues that all that can bring. So that's a little bit of the history on AAA and why it ended up the way it did.
So are we getting 60,000 from Weber Basin on this project too?
Is that their portion?
Yeah.
So they'll be contributing their portion if they opt to. I mean, like I said, we're still writing the agreement, and they've tweaked a few things that we're reviewing, but they could very well just say, yeah, we don't want to do that, then we won't do it. So the city isn't necessarily out anything.
Presenting?
No, it's not what it is. But this is just some paving and some patching that we've got to do associated with the water line that has been going in. But let me and Zach, if I speak incorrectly, correct me.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say this is probably something I can give a little more background on also, right? So it's specifically
Cherry and mahogany.
Cherry Lane, but not all of Cherry, right? We're
No.
going Cherry to Vista. So that alignment, if you haven't seen it yet, where Weber Basins ran their line across Vista, well, down Mahogany, around Vista, onto Cherry, down to Mountain Road. So Cherry from Mountain Road to Vista, that is part of the, so yeah, Weber Basin did their portion. Our 2022 water line asbestos replacement project will also be going up that road. In fact, all the way around Cherry. And so we had a patch, speaking of patches, and I hate seams, Darren and I were out there evaluating the road. When we get the patch done with Weber Basin's job, when we get the patch done with our water line job, that road will just be a patchwork road. We discussed it and thought, well, can we just take the money instead of paying, we'll take the money Weber Basin was going to pay to patch, and we'll take our money from our water line project that we were going to use to patch. We can pool that, and then we've got some Class C funds. Were they leftover ones, right?
Class C leftover Class C road funds.
Leftover Class C road funds that you can only use on roadways. To take care of that portion of Cherry that would be that patchwork area. And then we looked at Mahogany. Similarly, even though our city project isn't going in there, that road, I think we found out it was 2.5 inches, 2 inches thick is when it got
asphalt
paved. So that's why there was so much alligatoring, and it's in poor condition. And so it would be almost unwise to put in our city standard patch next to a 2-inch patch, and because our city standard requires like a mill and a T-patch into that too. And so based on the condition of Mahogany and the condition of Cherry, we worked with Staker Parson because they were the contractor working with Weber Basin. And we actually, they did our street maintenance project last year. So we're already, familiar with them, familiar with their work. And I put together a quantity cost estimate, sent it to Staker. I says, hey, can you give us a price on this? And again, it came in actually under my estimate, which was good. And we were able to break it into 2 portions so that we're trying to schedule it around these water projects so that when the utility projects are done, Staker Parsons will be able to come in and put in new asphalt from lip of curb to lip of curb to clean up the roadway on that portion of Cherry, and Mahogany from Vista
to Oak. To Oak Lane.
Yeah, we're pretty much where that cemetery road, where it goes up the hill, where that proposed cemetery entrance is going to be. That seam will be there, so that'll be the new pavement. So that's kind of the background on these city road projects for Staker Parson.
Do we have any rough costs on what that will cost the city?
Yeah, you have to pull that up. Sorry, I don't know if you have those handy. No,
just rough.
I want to say it was 200,000, 200 maybe 80, 220. I think it was.
If it's what's in your paper here.
Was that in the packet, or I can look it up? Let me look it up.
227.
227, 175.
Yeah, 227.
So
that's why isn't this a bid tabulation? Why is this one just Staker?
As far as like a public bid opening?
Yeah.
So this is part of the reason is because Staker already had the contract to do the patching for Weber Basin. They were going to patch it back. So it just made sense for us to use Staker to do that work instead of going out and getting another contractor to do what Weber Basin was already paying Staker to do. Does that make sense?
All right. I must have missed that. And now that I think about it, you telling the story. Got it. I didn't realize it's part of their bid that they had done.
Yeah.
So we're just going to utilize ours next to it.
They had already been awarded a bid to patch back. So we just ask them to patch back the entire width of the road instead of the little patch or the patch they had.
So would they mill it down?
I'm not, I don't remember what he had in his bid because the removal.
It was removal of the asphalt that's there and any soft spots taken care of
Yeah.
and then reconstruct the road.
So what that means is we are going to be living in dust all summer until that water project is finished.
So just a heads up, I met with Skyview today. That's who's doing Cherry Lane and our water projects and they will be starting next week. So, and I've been working real hard to get from Mountain Road down Vista done as soon as possible and then continue around the rest of the way so that I can schedule everything out and have everything paved.
And get them out of the dust.
So it'll be starting, our water line project will be starting next week.
Okay.
So.
And that gives us new roads in that area, all the way across the road, not two different patches.
Right. From Mountain Road up Cherry Lane to Vista will be, the whole width of the road will be all brand new road. From that point, it'll still be a T-patch where it's just our water line. And then on Mahogany, it'll be the whole width of the road once again, with our standard, the whole length of the road from Harvard Road until we just drop off the hill going down into where our cemetery road will eventually go.
Okay.
I'll tell Cole Carter, he's a Fruit Height resident. He's the one who signed this sticker part.
Yeah.
And I'll tell him that this is his tax bill too, so to make sure that the price is as good as can be.
Great. Are we going to see anything formalized on this? Is there something that we have to agree to?
What was that?
Do we have to finalize or agree to anything?
I don't think there's anything we have to finalize or agree to. It's already a contract. So I just wanted to make you aware that Staker Parsons is going to be doing the work, because I know you're getting a lot of questions as to when they're going to patch that back. But we are going to hold off on patching until we get our water line in, just like was discussed, and then it will all be patched back.
Okay.
Brand new road.
Okay.
That's a 2021, 2022 project funding or
Should be.
current year funding, right?
Because we're using those
Yeah,
remaining.
we're
Yeah.
trying to
Class
be
C
road
funds.
funds and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Okay.
it'll just roll over
That's,
and be, so when they're finished, then they'll get paid, so.
okay.
Great. Any further questions, council? Moving on to item number 6.5, review, discuss, approve, deny open fire restrictions and firework restrictions map. City manager, Brandon Green.
So I just, every year at about this time, we review our fire restriction map, and discuss if there's any changes we want to make to the map. My proposal is that we keep things the same and don't change anything, but I'd be interested in hearing if there's any concerns from the council on what we're presenting.
I have a question, Brandon.
Yes.
Where Hates Creek goes through, that gully through there, doesn't that have some of the same physical characteristics as some of our other gullies? And is that something that should be on the west side of 89? Is that something that we should be including in this map? Just that?
The difference there is most of those yards go into the creek and they're maintaining it. There's grass. They're maintaining it. Where with the Nichols Park and the Bear Creek area, those yards don't go down through there, and they aren't being really maintained. If you notice on the east side of 89 along Hates Creek, that is all.
Right. I just wondered if we maybe needed to go just a little bit so that we don't have fireworks down in that gully.
I will say that last year I was very impressed. I was outstandingly impressed with the lack of fireworks that were going off and the lack of calls that I got. And I think our residents actually fulfilled their end of the bargain. I'm sorry, but that was awesome. And instead of like what we said last year, instead of expanding this and encompassing the whole city, I think we are more vigilant about patrolling and calling and having the sheriff respond. I think that worked very well, and I thought it fulfilled all of our obligation as a city in keeping the public safe.
I'm not opposed to including Hates Creek in that, Eileen, if you feel the backyards of those homes along the Hates Creek drainage. I'm not opposed to that.
I just,
It runs down through the golf course.
it's not, people aren't going to be on the golf course. I just worry about just those few homes that do have backyards on that down in there and keeping the fire out of there.
The only difference is that with the golf course doing what they're doing, like there's no vegetation there. It's all just dirt.
But I'm looking at these here, just maybe a narrow, just a little narrow.
Ones along Birdie and Eagle
Yep.
Bay down through there.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
Yep.
Nichols.
No, I'm right here, where we know it goes down into. I mean, it's people have fire pits and whatever, but so I don't know.
I think your only difference there, that's all private property.
Yeah, but we have a lot of private property on the west side that we're excluding as well. I mean, the east side that we're excluding
You're right
as
on
well.
that aspect.
I would throw out the idea that let's just leave it the same. It worked last year.
Okay.
Unless we want to restrict flow in your neighborhood.
It'd be quieter.
It would be. I love fireworks. Okay, any further discussion? I would entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt our open fires and fireworks restriction map as delineated.
I second it.
Eileen was the motion, seconded by Flo. Any further discussion? All in favor of adopting our open fire restriction and firework and open fire pit restrictions map as delineated, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. It has been approved. Item number 7, review and discuss the minutes from May 17th. Did all of you get a chance to review them?
Wait a sec.
That
What's this one
that's Kaysville's, just so you can see it. We have Kaysville's and Farmington's maps.
Oh, I see, since they're kind of
So
close.
I did not have a chance to review the minutes.
I did. They were great. If I
But-
could, I'd make a motion.
But
No, go ahead. Sorry. I was being very rude.
I'll review them right now.
Say it again.
I did have a chance to review those.
Oh, I reviewed May 3rd. I reviewed May 3rd.
My issue here is that I think these things need to be out there for the public to see a little bit longer too.
Say that again.
The 17th, when did we get those 17th?
So I sent them to you, but not to the public.
That's my issue.
You want that?
Why would we send them to the public?
Well, I don't, no, we don't, do we?
No.
No.
Okay. You're right.
Sorry, I reviewed May 3rd, not 17th.
I reviewed May 3rd.
She emailed both of them to you.
Same time?
No.
May 3rd.
May 3rd were emailed on the 17th,
Yeah.
so you have those for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I saw those.
17th happened last night, so we'll start later.
Great. All in favor of approving? Oh, wait, I have a motion for May 3rd.
I would make a motion that we approve the minutes for May 3rd, 2022.
Motion from Eileen,
I second it.
second from Flo. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes of May 3rd, 2022, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. I would, let's table May 17th for next week. Is that okay?
But next week you'll have 17th and I'll take today's
Great.
Friday ahead, so.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Plus, so.
Thank you. Excellent. Information, check register. Eileen.
Brandon and I talked about what was there. It's kind of the same old, same old. Pay the bills.
Any issues, any concerns you wanted to present?
I don't think so.
You sure? You said that with some hesitancy. Are you sure?
No, we had a couple of large expenditures, but they were expected with our roofs coming in and some different things like that they're expected. Jones and Associates charges us a lot, so. It should be in there.
Ouch.
But, we get good value for what they charge us, right? There you go.
Okay. Moving on to anything else you want to present on those?
No.
Okay. Informational items, city council meeting next week, 14th. We need to have that. Will we have a quorum for that meeting next week? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you. That is it for us. Oh, if we have a meeting next week, I would like to throw out the idea of canceling our July 5th meeting. There won't be as much to discuss at that meeting because it's the first of our year and it's the day after the 4th of July. I would entertain the idea of canceling the July 5th and just meeting on July 19th.
Does that work with our budget issues, Brandon?
Yeah, because we've got to adopt the tentative budget. It won't be a final budget if we decide to hold the truth and taxation, but we've got to adopt a tentative budget next week. If we don't, then we have to hold a special meeting before the 20th of June to adopt a budget. And I just want to let you know that I'll be out of town if you don't adopt it. So.
So there's a lot of work and reviewing to do this week, right?
Yeah.
I will need help.
Okay.
And I'm fine with canceling July 5th.
That shouldn't affect the July 5th meeting unless we have
Canceling July 5th.
development requirement or development approval that we're sitting on.
But they can wait till the 19th.
Are we participating in a parade on July 4th?
Yes.
We'll talk about that
Okay.
in a second. Going over to the city council reports. I would actually ask any of you if you'd be willing to volunteer to participate on the Davis County Remembers 9/11 committee. Last year, Weber County Remembers 9/11, and they did a really spectacular exhibit with a whole bunch of signs, and it was actually really well attended by the school kids. The commissioners this year have proposed redoing it down at the Davis County Legacy Event Center and doing a pretty spectacular event. There are some planning meetings that are going on in order to get this pulled off. And I would see if anyone would be wanting to volunteer to be a part of that committee to pull the Davis County Remembers 9/11 event off and represent Fruit Heights in planning that. If I don't have a volunteer, that is okay. I want to make sure that, yes, go ahead, Brandon.
I have attended a couple of those just because I was asked to attend.
I have attended as well, but that's not something that I can coordinate with my schedule. It's hard for me to attend all of them.
That's my problem too. I can't. So as a result, I didn't attend the last one.
When do they have those meetings?
Seems like they have them every week.
No, they've been every other month, but now that we're coming into the summer, they're going to start kicking off quite a bit more. They've got a lot of it. They're just replicating what they did in Weber County, so they know exactly what's going on. But there's some fundraising deals that need to go through, and then they need to start building it out. And if anyone wants to participate in that, that'd be great. If you can't, I understand.
What nights?
They're usually in the afternoons. Yeah. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I remember. They fall during my work, and it's been challenging to.
Where,
They've been remote for the most part, but they will be. Oh, excuse me. They're at Layton City Hall, at the Layton City offices. If you can, you don't need to make a commitment now, but I'd love to get you in touch with them if that's something you could participate in. That is all I have to report. Talk to us about the 4th of July.
No major changes at the moment, but we just need to solidify. I thought the YCC, they should have reported tonight. They met yesterday. I wasn't able to make the meeting, but they plan on being there and throwing candy.
Handing out.
Candy. I know. I almost corrected her too, but it seems like it takes the fun out of it. So they will plan on being there, and I will follow up with that to coordinate that. But just so I'm fully clear, I need to request the spots from the parade committee. Do we need 2 vehicle spots or 3?
So we have in the past, we've had 6 where all council members had a car, but I think last year was probably the most effective for us, where we had 1 car for city council and 1 car for youth city council. I think it worked pretty well.
Okay.
I have my Surrey.
Yeah, we'll do 2.5.
2.5. And what's the thing, Eileen, in case they ask me what we...
It's a Surrey cycle. It's a bicycle built for 2 people sitting side by side.
All right, so I'll make sure that is
So-
2 cars. And
I'm just going to warn you now that Diane always shows up in the morning of with something. So just plan on her doing something. It happens every year, and there's no way to predict it. She'll show up with a golf cart. She'll show up with something.
Okay.
So why don't you just plan on that?
Perfect.
Every year it happens.
Sounds entertaining. Other than that, then I haven't heard anything about needing to be part of the devotional.
Let me throw out all those on the 4th of July, the morning, the breakfast. They need help serving breakfast. It's actually been really good that we can participate in that. It's a fundraiser for their city, but we have 2-to-1 represented help for it. And it's actually kind of fun. It starts at 6:30, the breakfast. Dunford, who does the star, is the one that him and all of his neighbors do it. And it's actually just kind of fun. If you could be there, I would ask that you be there. It's actually enjoyable. Eileen was standing next to me last year. We had a great time.
Yeah, we did.
So if you can, I would ask you to be there. Keep on going. Sorry.
I think that's all I have at the moment on that.
Devotional?
Oh, candy. What's this candy story? Brandon, is that on you? Getting the candy?
Candy?
Yes.
Yeah. So candy's hard to find, but we are working on it. It may be an interesting assortment like it was last year, but it's just,
We liked it last year. Do it again.
well, this might be even more interesting, but we'll get you something to throw.
Hand out.
That's fine. I mean, the kids get enough.
Yeah.
Really.
Do we
So-
need to pass it out in smaller quantities?
No, I'll get the same quantity. It's just sweets, candies. They just don't have anything right now. So we're on a list to get something. We just don't know what that something is yet.
So are you saying you don't know flavors, or you don't know?
We don't know flavors, type. We just don't know. So you might be throwing root beer barrels and butterscotch and spearmint wheels, or you might be throwing taffy. We just don't know.
Fantastic. We'll
There will
take
be
it.
candy there for you to throw, though.
Excellent job. Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
I think that's all I've got.
Devotional.
They haven't given us any assignments. Haven't heard a thing about it.
Okay. So I will work with Brandon to get a plaque for that.
Get a what?
Get a plaque.
Who is our unsung hero?
Unsung. Who? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Do we publicly announce that?
I guess you can. Sure.
We're going to nominate Chuck and Paula
Stevenson.
That's
That'd be great. That I just need to know so that I can make sure we get that on the plaque.
Okay.
I'll take care of ordering the plaque, Brandon.
You'll take care of it?
I will do it.
Okay.
You up to speed on that?
I'm up to speed on it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good work. Well done.
Yes.
Let me know the details and I can take care of it next year.
It's awesome. It's actually pretty simple. They're great to work with. There's a place down in Layton that is
Gold Star.
Gold Star.
fantastic. You call them and they've got everything. It's great. Good company. Eileen,
I don't have anything other than I didn't get our contest put together yet. So we're still going to work on that for next month.
actually, I was thinking about that like 2 nights ago. I'm like, why hasn't Eileen done anything with that? I was going to
Well-
call you and like
Yeah, well,
berate you for not doing what you said you were going to do.
okay. I've been berated.
Thanks. Flo?
I don't have anything except thanks to the UDOT people, if we can extend that, for getting the Lloyd's Road project done when they said they would, which was on Memorial Day weekend. So we're grateful in my neighborhood to have an east traffic situation.
And much safer.
Yeah.
City engineer, Jones and Associates. Oh, I'm so sorry, Flo. I totally. Were you done?
Yep.
Okay, great. Jones and Associates.
I asked Brandon about Jones about this and didn't have anything. He didn't have anything. So other than the stuff we've talked about, that's all I've got.
Great. Jeff Euler.
I'm going to give you a couple of quick stats based on a study we just completed that are pretty interesting. There's only 13,000 developable acres left in this entire county. At the rate we're going, we're chewing up about 1,000 on average, 1,000 acres a year. So not only is Fruit Heights almost built out, the whole county is. And what's interesting is this development that is taking place. Countywide, 78% of the households in this county are owner occupied and owned by the people that live there, making Davis County far and away the greatest percentage of home ownership by far in the state of Utah. There's a lot to be said in that statement right there, and there's a lot to think about, is that the vast majority of people that live and are moving into this county want to live in a single family residence. But there you go.
And speaking of,
Something to chew on.
how's our ADU ordinance coming?
Good. We had a good
conversation.
with the planning commission, and I thought what we were pretty ready to go on. They gave me a bunch of other homework to do. So I'm working on it still.
But we're looking at owner occupied for at least one of the units, right?
Yes.
And we intend to enforce anything different.
Yes. Yes, Eileen.
Thank you.
That was 1 minute and 22 seconds. Jeff Euler, I think you should get a reward, an award. Sorry. That was awesome. Good job, Jeff. Thank you.
You have nothing else?
That's it.
Wow.
Darren.
Just projects, like I said, the water project for our line replacement will be starting next week. I met with the contractor today for that. Weber Basin's project is going slow down the north end. They've just about got all the temporary pipe in, and then they'll do a couple tie-ins, and then they'll dig up the old line, put the new line in, and then switch it all again. So
Why is it temporary?
between the gas line and where their current line is, there's nowhere to put their line without creating issues. So they're running an 8-inch temporary HTP line, which you can see them putting on North Mountain Road.
Yeah.
And they're burying it about 2 feet in the ground. And then they'll move over and tear out the old line and put in the new line. And when they've got all the new line back in, then they'll come back, tear out the temporary line, and put it all back together. I don't know if anybody's been up to 400 North. They've started installing our streetlights. And I was actually talking with UDOT today. They'll be starting the Bear Creek detention. They started moving some equipment in today. And we're talking the lights down on the Lloyd Road area right now. So to make sure they're going into the right spots.
Aaron, you've been doing so much.
Yeah.
Keep them on
So-
track. Thank you so much.
Can we switch those stop signs to yield signs on Lloyd Road?
I agree.
After the project is over, I I can change the signage.
Oh, seriously?
Yes, if we feel like it's a benefit to our residents, we can change the signage, but not until the project's
Oh.
completed and turned over to us.
That's
as
great.
a city.
What about the bottom of my street? Can you change that from a stop sign to a nothing?
Yes, when the project is completed and I don't have to worry about trucks and cars coming out of your subdivision running into a truck, I will take that sign out.
I think we ought to keep a stop sign southbound Lloyd Road, just because.
Yeah, let's keep those lights on Mountain Road.
So
I'm sorry, but I actually had some like 4 people past 3 weeks say that they actually like them.
Slows traffic.
Anyway.
kind of. So
I didn't know that you could change those signs because that is a city road.
So Lloyd Road is a city road until it gets down closer to the on-ramp,
Okay.
and then it turns into the state road.
State road.
So, yes.
The barrier, the sound barrier right there at the end of Lloyd Road on the farthest south end
Where it's got hit by the car?
got crushed. Is that going to be replaced? And is that going to be turned over to us to maintain, or is that theirs to maintain?
It's not scheduled to be replaced, and I'm not sure whose it is. I believe it's still UDOT's.
Did it just get hit?
No, I got hit a few years ago.
Oh, is this where the sign was, or the fence was
With
bent,
that guy, the drunk guy raced up there and
smashed into it? Yeah.
So it's like all crumpled down now. Like you can see it now.
Yeah. It shows up really good now that they got that nice new
Yeah.
barrier right up to it.
And a big
It's
piece of
smashed right
foam
in.
to act like to hold the barrier up.
So,
Nice.
but UDOT's moving right along. If we could keep up with concrete, we would be ahead. Antelope was only delayed 3 months.
Did they
3
get
months for being poured, and they finally got it done Friday, last week.
And that's all because of concrete delays.
Concrete delays, yeah.
Excellent.
so Nichols Road could experience the same?
So they'll finish up what they're doing up there with their bridge guys, and then they're moving down to Nichols Road.
Great.
So you will see equipment moving down to Nichols Road probably towards the end of next week or the following week.
The
So
89 being closed because of flash flood and not getting water out, is that wasn't on us, right?
that is not on us. No.
Yeah.
Is that going to be fixed?
Yeah, when they get the Bear
Yes.
Creek drainage.
Once they get the drainages all completed, it shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah, shouldn't.
It's not my road, so
You heard it here first.
it shouldn't.
My friend from Kansas texted me. He's like, "Whoa, you got your road in the middle of your city closed." I'm like, "What the?" I guess there's some tweet that went out on the news agencies that Fruit Heights main road thoroughfare was closed.
UDOT sent something out because they closed 89, diverted traffic onto Main Street.
Brandon Green, city manager, do you have a report?
Yes, I have a few things. I just need to remember what they are.
General plan?
So we had that meeting with the general plan, and landmark design is going back through and making those changes. I just wanted to make you aware that those changes are occurring, or they're making those updates based on our conversation with them. Thank you very much for taking the time and providing feedback. I felt like that was a very beneficial meeting. Just a quick development update. Continue to work with Matt Lowe on Rock Loft Estates. We're still waiting for some approvals. Don't know where we're at with that, but I'm anticipating that possibly by the 21st of this month, there will be a request for final plat approval on that development. And I just want to update you on paperless billing. We ran that article in the Ridge Runner and had a very positive turnout. We had, I think it was, and correct me, Haley, if I'm wrong, but it was around 200 people that signed up for paperless billing on top of the 600 and something that we already have. So more than half of our residents are now paperless.
That's great.
And so we're going to continue pushing that. But at some point, that's going to go away and people are going to be charged a fee for a paper bill. So just be aware of that. And lastly, this is just a kind of an update. We went out to bid for the drilling of a well out here recently, and we as a staff and as the engineers have sat down with the contractor that would do the work, and we've decided that at this time we are going to hold off on drilling that well because of expenses and things related to supplies, materials. UDOT has agreed to pay us the money that it would cost, so that money will be coming to the city. But we will look at drilling a well at some point in the future.
So we'll put that in our water fund?
That money will go into the water fund. Yes. It's capital. Yeah, it'll be earmarked for capital project.
Thank you. That's fantastic news. So that's 750,000 that will be included into our water fund.
Water capital projects fund. So
Not
it can't
water
be
fund?
used. It can't be used. Well, the water fund capital projects.
Okay.
So it can't be used for meter replacement. It's got to be for large projects.
Excellent.
Okay.
Fantastic. Where are we on the meter replacement RFP or not RFP? Grant. Did we submit that?
I submitted it. I have not heard anything at this time, so I'm anticipating we'll get something back here in the next few days. I think it was by the end of June we should hear something. Or the water through rural water. Was it rural water?
It's through the Division of Drinking Water, but it's or water
Quality.
It's not water. Is it water quality? No. There's three: Division of Water Rights, Division of Water Quality, and Division of Drinking Water. It's the second one, then I think.
I haven't heard anything, but we anticipate hearing something. Also, I did speak with Lincoln, and that is looking extremely positive.
Great.
So that's that other grant that we've been working on.
Right. That's fantastic. Can we get meters even if we got that grant?
Our standard meters, maybe not. Right now on the meters, they're about 6 months out.
Great. Perfect.
So once we get the grant, and if we go through and we do the process, we'll order the meters. And then once they come in, then we'll go through the process of.
And then how is our secondary water up on East Bench? How is that working?
The residents have been very, very good for the most part.
Excellent.
We've sent them letters on which days they can water. They can't water on the weekends, all those kind of things. And just the way the rainstorms have kind of hit, it's really helped. We've only pumped probably 4 times off the Weaver Basin Aqueduct. So,
well, that's fantastic.
Where last year we were pumping almost every day. So the residents are, right now, it's not been super hot, but they're doing what we've asked them. So last night they used 4 feet of water. So last night they really used a lot of water. So so tomorrow we will probably have to pump with the other half of them being able to water. So.
Great. Thanks for the update. Having nothing else on our agenda, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Eileen? Second from George. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
So let it be written, so let it be done. Thanks, guys.